Hello everyone, welcome to one of our Facebook Live sessions again. And for those of you who watch us on our website or YouTube, welcome also. Appreciate you joining me today. I always like to start out with what we're working on for So Confident for the month. You know, we put a lot of effort into our So Confident online educational program, and September's program is making the Helix pants, which are right here, our slim pant. And we're using ponte knit, a very special ponte knit that we've just gotten from a very new manufacturer to us. It's very smooth, almost has a tiny little sheen on one side of it, more of a matte finish on the back side of it. And it's lightweight, but it's not, and I call it midweight with a lightweight drape to it. I guess that would be a better description of it. We like the Helix because it has the inside non-exposed elastic, 1.5 inches wide, has darts in the front and the back, so it's fitted on the top of the pant. The legs are straight, so it's a slim pant. It's not a skinny pant, it's just slim, and it just looks good on everyone. The video that I recorded has full-on how to measure yourself, how to compare your measurements to the pattern in choosing a starting size, how to make some basic adjustments, and how to make some more personalized adjustments as well. So it's a really nice, expanded, concentrated on fitting tutorial. So I hope you'll join us for either the monthly tutorial, or you can still sign up for the year as well. And you can still order a kit in gray, black, or pottery color. All right, that's So Confident. I was in Arkansas last weekend, and my neighbor, who I adore, she and I have similar ideas about what we like, and we love textiles and history and that sort of thing. And she gave me a book, and I'm not very far into it, but I can tell that I'm really going to love this book. And it's called Fabric: The Hidden History of the Material World. Now, you know, it's kind of thick, and you look at it and think, oh my gosh, can I get through this? And is it too technical, too scholarly, too serious? But it's not. It is a book that kind of spins us around the globe, weaving these stories of our relationship with cloth, why we wear it, why we invented it, and why we made symbols out of it, and why we even fight for it. So I can tell by just reading the first 50 pages that it's really fascinating. And so I encourage you to check it out. She actually ordered this book from England for me, so it has this cover on it. I noticed yesterday when I was looking that this is the cover that's on it, I think, when you order it from Amazon. So I'm not sure exactly what it'll look like, but it is called Fabric by Victoria Findlay, and I highly recommend this. Anything with the word fabric to textiles in printed form is something that I like to research. The other thing I want to tell you about is I do subscribe to Selvage magazine online. I used to take the printed form, which I don't know, I kind of go back and forth on that, but currently I'm just looking at it online. And it's a fantastic magazine with incredible photography, and it does reach back into historical aspects of textiles and making and garments, and I like just the ads sometimes if I don't get around to reading the actual articles. But I suggest that you check it out. But one of the things that they are doing, they have some online classes and some online Zoom topics, and Saturday, October 8th, they're having an online talk called Wardrobe Revolution Weekend. And they've invited 12 people, none of whom I'd ever heard of, but when I read their bios, I realized that the subject was going to be all about sustainability and mending and repurposing, and it's going to be an interesting talk. So you can sign up for this talk. It's for me at about 9 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. It would depend on your time zone, of course. I think it's at 2 o'clock in British time or 3 o'clock, something like that. But I think it's going to be interesting. So you can go to selvage.org, I think it is. Well, now I'm not sure. I think. But it's Selvage with a D, S-E-L-V-E-D-G-E And there you will find all about this event, an online Zoom talk wardrobe revolution weekend, although I think it's one day. But check that out. So today is Now Day of Now and Zen. And I always like to introduce Kathy Davis, who's going to come onto the stage today and help me. And
now? Is it now?
Now, it's now, it's now. Come on, it's now. I've introduced you so many times, but for those of you who have never met Kathy Davis, Kathy and I have been associated for 25, 30 years now. And she's a rock in our business.
Shoe. A rock in your shoe.
A rock in my shoe. You were a pebble and then you became a rock. But I lean on Kathy for inspiration and creative ideas and fine sewing and all of that. So every once in a while she'll just, even though you're retired, I get it, but you still are very involved in what we do and keep up with what we do. But every once in a while you'll kind of just waltz in and show us something new. And we'll look at it, and Erin and I and Deb, ooh and ah, and go on, and we'll say, what pattern is that? And you'll say, well, that's the Now shirt. And I'm going, another Now shirt? Are you kidding me? How many Now shirts do you have? And you have plenty.
Well, I go through several years I have obsessions with certain patterns. Last year it was the mix-it top. Remember that? Maybe 5 or 6 of those came out of my sewing room. And it seems like this year it's the Now shirt.
It is the Now shirt. So I asked Erin yesterday how long the Now and Zen pattern has been out. And I've already forgotten what you said.
2006.
2006. So that is 18 years. 16 years. My math is terrible. That's a long time for a pattern. I'm not sure we have very many patterns that have been around for that long. I'm sure there are a few, but that is a long-standing, classic, all-purpose, hopefully never go away.
That's true, and there are times when we walk away from it and forget about it for maybe 2 years, and then all of a sudden you're looking for a garment that's simple, not many seams. You don't have to do a complicated collar. You want to show kind of unusual fabrics, and it just appeared to be, it's that jacket.
And what kind of started all this for this week is I found this picture on the internet. I think this is from Toast, possibly, which is a British clothing line. Just a real simple kind of work jacket.
Yeah.
And we have this fabulous denim, quite a few yards of it actually. And I thought, this is like it. Denim never leaves our lives. It's been in my life since I was in junior high. I'll never forget my mother saying she prided herself on the fact that in her 92 years, she had never worn denim. She was of that generation. And I can pridefully say I've worn denim for almost that long. I'm not 92, but long time. So denim comes and goes a little bit in terms of some fashion, but generally it's just always here for us. Jackets, pants, dresses, everything. And now we see denim in all kinds of weights, and with and without spandex, dyed, tattered, tie-dyed, whatever. But this, I love this color of denim. I always have. And so you came in like 3 weeks ago and I said, hey, how about making that jacket, this jacket-ish, take this picture home and see what you can come up with. Well, of course, she chose the Now. So, what did you do to this?
Okay, well, traditionally,
well, first, we should say...
Talk about the traditional out-of-the-packet pattern.
I purposely wore this today because if you were to make the Now with no changes whatsoever, this is what it would look like. It's short. It has a couple of buttons on the collar, which I have long since forgotten about.
Me too.
Because we don't put the buttons on it very long, but I actually really like this, and you would love this like this.
Yeah, I know.
Because you like to cover up your neck, and I do too, actually. This is in linen. You know, it has just a simple turn back front hem. It has a simple turn up hem with an overlapping condition down here at the corner. Simple sleeves that I simply roll up. And then this collar that has an opening at the ends.
It's kind of an open tube.
It is a tube, that's right. So you hem this rectangle first on the ends.
Right.
And then you install it in such a way that the seam allowance of the neck is encased in that seam. It's like a French seam, sort of. So simple to make, but it is, so this is the original, I'll call it, which is still a great looking pattern.
Yeah, and the instructions on the original, you're doing French seams.
Right.
Which I have long tossed away that. You know, unless you're doing a silk jacket,
right,
forget the French seams.
Yeah, just pick the seam finish that is appropriate for the fabric that you're using. I think we need to remind people of that more often, that guide sheets from any company are generally just an order of construction.
Yes.
And you need to make some decisions about seam finishes and hem finishes and details based on the fabric that you're using and the look that you want finally. So.
And although the short is a good look, I usually always add at least 2 inches to the one I'm making now.
And see, notice I've worn this second layer.
Yeah, I think that looks great.
So I think it adds a couple of things. It adds length and covers up a part of my figure that I'm not the proudest of, and adds that little touch of color, and I don't know, just looks better to me.
Yeah. Well, the contrasting, this jacket is 4 inches have been added on the pattern.
Okay.
And you can see it's not a real long jacket. But
no, and Erin yesterday said, you know, that could be really long. It'd
Yeah.
be a wonderful denim coat.
Right. And so,
Yeah.
All right, so what did I do on it? Well, first of all, the fabric has some body.
Right.
And some thickness, so there's no way you can do French seams, so forget that. But also, the pattern has a double fold for your front. It's a fold. Well, this is too thick to fold, so I just did one fold here, which I thought worked out nicely.
Right. In fact, and you top stitch it, which this doesn't call for in the pattern.
Right, but I'm always doing that now. I did top stitch it.
Yeah.
There is a double stitching here that you really can't see in there.
Yeah, more like traditional jeans double stitching. Yeah. You could do it in a contrasting thread, like a heavier thread or a jeans thread.
Yeah, or like that orange jean thread.
Right. Right.
And so then to put pockets in, I just kind of actually looked at that picture, kind of figured out how far from the center front maybe that is, and how far from the side, drew a square, and then just took a curved template that we've talked about. You can make one with just a salad plate, a glass of my tag board, and I thought, you know, I'll just pull out that tag board, and so I curved it here.
This also could be something that you already have in a pattern, like it could be the flat iron pocket.
Right.
We probably have some pockets in our patterns that you could just use if you're not super comfortable with making your own pattern.
Yeah, well, and so 2 pockets on there, and then I
love
thought
that
it would
one.
be fun to put a little cell phone pocket in here. This goes from here to right down here.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Or a hanky.
I can tell whenever I get something out of my closet, my pants that I've worn before, because there's always a Kleenex in the pocket.
Exactly.
Okay, now also, when the hems turn up, the body and of the fabric was just going to be too thick to do a fold and go over it. So I did a miter, which really gave it a wonderful flat look. And also mitering this is actually easier than trying to turn and turn. and get
Right.
over it with your sewing
And this is what
machine.
we call the asymmetric miter, because this hem width is larger than this hem width. So if you follow the mitering instructions that are in the Mastering Miters book, or a number of our patterns, like the Japanesque, we talked about that last week, has instructions, that's easy to do.
It is easy, much easier than trying to sew over a double fold.
Right.
And you know, once you've mastered the miter, you can do it in 30 seconds.
Right. It really is easy.
Okay. And so double stitching on the hem. I did
And when you did your double stitching, did you do it in 2 passes, or did you use a twin needle?
not a twin needle. I do it now 1 and 1. So.
I'm with you.
All right. And so I also did the top stitching up on the shoulders. I also did it on the sleeve. I didn't do it underneath here. It's just going to be too difficult to get in there for a top stitch. Now when we get to the collar, again, you will not be able to do the burrito instructions in the pattern. So you just, we don't have a, well, it's kind of like this. This is not cut right, but it is a rectangle, the collar piece is. So you sew on this one, you just sew it on the outside, turn it in. You'll hem this first. You can see it's a little.
Hem the ends first.
Hem the ends first, put it on the outside, and bring it on the inside. And I slip stitched in here to get that thing down. And then I went back and top stitched. When you go back with this top stitching, it encloses these raw edges that you'll have on the edge of the collar.
Right.
Anything else we want to say?
Well, you had a thought after the fact.
Well, I did
Because this is bulky, there's no question.
Yeah.
Right here at the end, you've got to have a sewing machine that's going to go through 4 thicknesses, but also sit a little bit unlevel because of the thickness of this seam allowance. And so you need to sew slowly, carefully, maybe even use some thicknesses of cardstock or paper or something to build up your one side of the presser foot so that it's absolutely level. Presser feet don't like to be either forward, backward, or side to side. Sometimes you can get in trouble. But another solution for that, for one less layer, would be to actually use the Selvage.
Right, one side of the Selvage is a little bit thinner, one is kind of thick and fringy, and the other one is a little more trim. So I thought, if this doesn't work, and I kind of wish I'd done it this way, but you could make your collar piece, so this would be the inside, and you can just come in here and do a flat stitch.
Mm-hmm. And then if you like that look and feel like that's just not enough, or you need to bring that back into another element, you could cut the top of the little pocket, perhaps on the Selvage, or even the top of either one of these pockets.
Or the whole pocket side could be
right.
Could be this.
Or the bottom of the sleeve. You could use that Selvage in other places.
Yeah, just
because the Selvage is good on this.
It is. It's pretty. And so, if you choose to make the jacket, think about saving your Selvage spots before you get the thing all cut out. So anyway.
Right. You did not pre-wash this jacket fabric, but you did wash the fabric, and it does not shrink.
No, this was
not at all.
A 10-inch square.
And it softens it just
a little.
A smidge.
Yeah.
So this is already a laundered denim that we bought from a ready-to-wear company back east. So this is just a fantastic denim. It's pure denim, no spandex. Nothing weird about it. It's cotton denim, classic cotton denim in a bleached color. It's already laundered, so it's kind of ready to go.
I love it. Really flattened out when you did stitches on it. I loved how that just held.
Yeah.
It was easy.
Well, I love this. I love denim jackets, but I've never really found one in a store that fits me or something. The sleeves are always too long, and it's complicated because it has cuffs, and those jeans button, whatever they are, that are barely buttons. I don't even know what to call them. I've just never found a jeans jacket that really worked for me. So I think this is...
I think this looks feminine.
Yeah, so you're going to leave this for me, right?
Yeah, it's yours.
Oh, thank you.
It is yours.
I think we went up a size for this, as I recall.
It's a size medium.
Yeah, I have a small on in the linen, but I asked Kathy to make this in a medium so that I could wear it more as a jacket over a sweater or thick blouse or sweatshirt or something like that. Right. So you might want to think about that as well. And long enough to cover most of what I wear.
And don't turn the center fronts twice.
Right, right. So let's look at some variations. We have simple variations, we have more complicated variations, we have lots of now shirts and jackets here that I think will blow your mind, some of which you've seen. But you know what? We forget. So let's start with the one you have on.
Oh, okay. Well, this is probably the most varied of the pattern.
Right.
And it is lengthened, maybe 3 inches. I put a band on the bottom, a band on the top, so I didn't use the tube collar.
And those pieces, both the top and the bottom, are just straight pieces.
Right.
You didn't try to curve the collar.
No, nothing's curved. This probably could use a little curve, but I didn't do it.
Did you try to predetermine the length of the collar at the neck, or did you just cut it kind of longer and put it on and decided how much to cut off?
I cut it longer than the pattern.
Yeah.
And, probably just said, well, maybe I want it to stick out 2 inches from the edge of the pattern, so that's what I did.
And the bottom band and the collar are the same height, 2 inches or 2.5 inches or whatever they are.
Right, and this I just measured after I sewed the side seams, measured how much across I had.
Yeah. And
so this is a pocket that I found on one of my shirts not too long ago that I really loved. And so you probably can't see it very good in the solid, but where are we? It's this pattern.
I love the fact that it has the 2 openings.
Yeah, you can put your hand through it.
So you just made that up basically from a garment that you had, and
Right.
you traced it or measured it or...
Well, I stole it from the shirt. Yeah, right.
No, okay.
It's not original. I copied it off
that's
my
what we
shirt.
do. That's what we do. So you just made a pattern that had a kind of an extended facing seam sort of thing that you could fold back, and I think it's fantastic.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah, so these are the kinds of things you have to remember when you're making a pattern, though. You're working on an angle here, so something that turns back has to follow the profile that it's going to turn back onto. You can't forget that. That's the same principle as a hem, as if it were the bottom hem of pants or a shirt or a skirt or whatever. So, and don't forget to add seam allowances. And it might take a couple of passes. It might take a muslin to...
I did a muslin.
Okay, and work out the kinks before you actually commit to cutting out your fabric and actually put it on the garment.
Yeah, I did a muslin pocket. Yeah. And then the shirt also had another detail that I thought was fun. It had a huge patch on the back of the arm.
Yeah, not just an elbow patch, but one that goes clear into the cuff.
Yeah, a big teardrop.
Hold still so she can kind of zoom in on you there.
Yeah. A little closer, but it's hard to see with tone on tone.
Can you see?
Mine's as good as it gets.
Okay, all right.
And so I did put a cuff on it, and then I jumped into holding my mouth right and did a, bound vent on it.
Yeah. So this is appliqued on.
Yes.
It's not seamed.
Right.
It's appliqued, so the edges are turned. You probably stay stitched first, so you could turn the edges, or say you did, because you should have.
Yes, I did. Oh, I did.
Okay, good. So the cuff and the band and the collar are all the same width and kind of the same principle. It all brings those elements back together. Well, I think this is fantastic. It's a washed linen, kind of that new generation of washed linens, which we're going to show you in a minute. That have come to us from a new supplier that I'm pretty crazy about. And of course, our favorite color, for sure, my color. So this is a white linen damask shirt. I meant to button that, didn't get it buttoned. But this might show you the pocket a little bit better. We'll bring it closer.
I made the white one before I made the one I had on, but it also gives a little more detail of your tube collar.
So this would be taking the original pattern like I have on, doing the collar like I have on, but not adding the buttons at the collar, so letting it splay out. But here you have pretty much the pockets as the primary feature of this.
Yeah.
And then I love the way you've lengthened the back and the front, but the back is more exaggerated than the front.
I always like that look a little bit. This is probably maybe 2.5 inches longer. There's a little tiny vent in it. I think probably the front was 2 inches longer than the pattern, and then I went on down.
Yeah. So this is a simple shirt, but it doesn't look like anything you're going to buy off the rack in very many places, because really just the addition of this interesting pocket that again has the openings on both sides. Very Japanese.
Oh, yes.
Don't you think? Was the original garment a Japanese brand, do you remember, that you got this from? No?
Should I say it?
I don't know.
Isabel's not Japanese.
Isabel Marant? No, that's not, she's not Japanese, but she's not American either. I don't think. I think she's British. Anyway, a designer piece. Yes. And, you know, to me, if you're going to copy and be inspired by ready-to-wear, you look at pieces you are not going to buy because they're so expensive. Anybody can copy from what we buy at the mall, but you know, let's copy high-end designers who have really interesting ideas and that you just don't see every day. So this is a linen damask. Kind of hard to say. Whoops. Well, that one. All right, so this one is a quilted jacket that you quilted.
Yes.
The fabric didn't come like this.
No, I had this knit. These both layers are a knit, but this was in my stash, and it's kind of a bold print, so it's not something maybe you want to wear as pants. You know, I have 4,000 T-shirts. I think do something, and also, you know, you see the puffer jacket everywhere this last year.
Right.
And I thought, you know, I'm not crazy about a puffer jacket, but then I kept seeing it, and I thought, okay, I'll do it. But so this is actually a knit. The inside is a knit.
Cotton knit.
Cotton knit. It's all cotton.
Yeah.
So I did just layer it in. And this is stitching marks. So I tried, first of all, doing a baby flannel as a filler. But I thought it left it a little flat. So I went to Joann's, and got the baby quilt batting, which is a little thinner. So
which is polyester.
Yeah, polyester. There's quilt batting in there. And then just simple stitching. This was quilted. The pieces were quilted individually before I put them together.
Yeah.
And then again, I bound the edges with a strip of the matching inside cotton.
Yeah, this shows you that the pieces were made first and then the garment's constructed, so the seams are exposed.
Finished with the serger.
Yeah, finished with the serger. And then snaps.
Which is your wonderful tortoise shell. What are they, shell?
Yeah.
Snaps.
And then you did a stitch to attach the snaps that actually have a design to them. Let's pull that forward.
To me, it's the hardest thing to sew on a snap.
I know. Either it needs to be totally invisible or it needs to be decorative, and it can't be in between.
No.
Right.
So I did big X's on there.
Yeah, I love this one. I wish this were my size, but it's not. So
it probably is.
I don't know. It looks a little small.
I think it's a cute puffer.
It's a darling puffer. So then here's another knit one.
Now this one, the Now shirt, this is, I think, lengthened at least 2 inches. But I dug out all of my scraps from our trips to Alabama Channon that were in the
So some of
box.
these have been stenciled. This one, I don't know where you got that one.
That is an Alabama Channon,
Really?
but I don't think it's their traditional
Okay.
stenciling.
So
thing.
these are all cotton knits. You could stencil, you could stamp, you could embroider, you could applique, you could make your own interesting pieces and parts if you haven't had the advantage of going to Alabama Channon.
Right, or if your stash has a bunch of stripes that you've got. I think my next thing is I want to do a whole piece one out of leftover stripes.
Oh, have I got a bin for you in the basement?
Well, I got one too.
Oh, okay. Well,
Anyway.
maybe I'll do one and we'll compare. That is a fun idea. So it's just single layer. There's no second layer to this, although there could be.
Right, you could.
You
yes.
could either have 2 layers of patches, or you could do the patches and then underline with a single piece of knit to give it a little more body.
Right, if it were going to be more of a jacket-like quality on it, I mean, to me this is a blouse, I probably would underline it to make the inside a little more.
Yeah. But you've left the
neater.
edges raw, and since it's a jersey, it curls to the right side.
And so all of the pieces are actually machine stitched together. And then later I came in here and put the seam allowances to one side and did some big running stitches on all the pieces just for decoration.
I love this. I love this.
It's so comfortable.
Yeah, I could see this as multicolored, simple
Yeah, it
colors.
doesn't
It doesn't have to be
stenciled
or embellished or anything. It could be strips.
Yes.
It could be just a row of the piecing at the bottom and the rest of it solid. I mean, there's a lot of variations on this.
Right.
So this is interesting, though. We've done this treatment a time or two. I don't know if you want to talk about it or whatever, but this starts out as a flat rectangle with an insertion of about an inch wide piece of cotton knit. And then when the collar's folded, it gets folded in the center of that single strip, so it looks like you've bound the edge.
You want to show the inside?
Karen Turnow is the person who introduced
it
me
does.
to this technique. I don't know where you learned it. Is that
Probably from you.
probably from the same person?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, if you're doing this, just get out your pattern, make a copy of your pattern, and then draw your rectangles, draw your piecing on it, draw this all on your pattern. I always do it in black magic marker. And so you're not, I mean, it simplifies it.
And then
You know-
how wide are your seam allowances that you add to each of those pieces?
3/8.
3/8. So then do you make a pattern piece for all of these pieces, or do you just trace the magic marker square
On the
How
magic
do you do it?
on the piece that I've all marked up with squares, I mean, I'll measure this. It may be 5.5 by 4. And so I'll add, but I'll write on here. I'll add my seam allowances,
Okay.
whatever 5.5 and 3/8 is or something. But you can do 1/4 inch too. So I will write the size on that square and then I'll cut it out.
Okay, then you go right to fabric. So you don't have
Yeah.
a pattern piece per se of all
No.
these little paper squares. You have a template.
That'd be nuts.
Well, I might have done that, as nuts as it may sound. But you're right, that's your template, and then you can cut your pieces from what you've written down and add your
Yeah, and
seam
when you
allowances.
draw your pattern, your templates on there, think about how you want to do it. You want to be able to piece your pieces together in blocks. So you don't have weird seam allowances. You know, this may be a block that I'm using, and then I'll do it on here.
Are you thinking about that when you're actually drawing these shapes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So, for instance, this is a horizontal seam that comes clear across here. So you've probably made this first, then you've
Correct.
added this,
Yes.
then
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, and then you
I
do
get it.
this, and then you do this.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're
yeah.
nuts.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I love this one. This is fantastic. Fantastic. Well, they all are. But these are some of the newer ones. Now, this one they've seen, but we have to show it again.
Is that the black one too?
Yes.
Yeah, we featured this several months ago, and these are the Now jackets with the beautiful, what do we want to call it?
Well, let's call it, it's not quilted, it's a stitched, it's a matelassé type
Soft
stitched fabric, and it comes like this. It comes as if it's been hand stitched, but it's not. It's held together with this stitching. Layers of fabric have been held together with this stitching.
And it's all cotton.
It's all cotton.
And it actually looks like
It comes from
wool.
England, Merchant and Mills, actually, and we have it.
I was so taken with the first time I saw this fabric, and so I took the black home and thought, okay, the Now shirt. And here again, we just simplified it.
Well, it's easier to put binding on a curve than on a square.
Right. And so
I say that, and it's sort of yes and no, because you have to be careful about this,
you don't want it too tight.
or it cups
Right, you
one
have
way or the other. You
yeah.
have to have it just eased enough onto the curve to lie flat. But
Right. And again, we didn't do the tunnel.
right.
In fact, we didn't do it on the puffer jacket either. Just take the size of your pattern piece and come up. I think this is maybe a 1 3/4 height. Use your curve again and do that.
But it's still 2 layers so that the seam is hidden.
Right.
Yeah. And
Right.
then, so this is covering 2 layers of fabric here, and then it's covering 1 layer of fabric here.
Well, there is
Or did
2
you add a
layers
facing?
because of the button
Okay.
reinforcement.
You added a reinforcement for
Yeah, in here. You can't see it. It's the black here. I think you can see it on here.
Yeah.
So I was so taken. I went home, made the black one. I thought, that is so cute. I'm so happy with it. I couldn't wait to show it to Linda. And when I did, I lost it.
Yeah. Fine.
So I had to make another one. So the white one's mine. But here, I did use a facing.
On the bias, by the way, but that was for visual,
Yeah.
I assume. Doesn't need to be on the bias.
But I did it for reinforcement for buttons and buttonholes.
And added a pocket, which this doesn't have.
Right, right. Okay.
Well, we don't have the black anymore, nor do we have the cream, but we do have a deep dark navy.
I think that's almost black, really.
Yeah, it
close.
really is dark. Nice deep dark navy. And we have this auburn color.
This, to me, is beautiful.
I know.
I love this.
Wow.
I can't
This-
believe I don't have any.
We don't have much of this left of either color, but we definitely have some pieces.
And-
And because of how it comes to us,
Right.
you have to buy this in 2 3/4 yard pieces. You can buy more, but you can't buy less than 2 3/4. But 2 3/4 yard increments. So you either buy 2 3/4 or 5 1/2 or whatever that is, double, or 7 and
Actually,
7, whatever.
that size piece would make, I mean,
Anything.
that would make a mid-thigh jacket if they wanted a long one.
Absolutely. I'm getting ready to go to London. I'm seriously thinking about making a little bit longer one to wear. Maybe that's my weekend project.
In what fabric? That one?
I think
something.
maybe the auburn. I don't know.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
We'll see. All right, so this has been around a while, but I don't think we've shown it very often, if at all. So this is the Now, but this time the collar has not been turned, folded in half. It's just been left in its original width. And this is a boucle wool. We have these wonderful rayon and wool boucles, and then you've underlined it with a stripe, cotton stripe, and all the seams are on the outside.
And so you have a little bit of that color variation of the stripe that kind of peeks out through your, sewing your seams to the wrong side and then trimming real close here. I
Yeah.
remember making this in a snowstorm. We were home in a snowstorm. We were
Yeah.
snowed in years ago, and I thought, what in my stash can I do? And this was here.
Yeah, when you're sewing a seam like this, you're not sewing close to an edge. You're sewing on the seam line and then trimming it. It would be way too difficult to try to stitch 1/8 of an inch from 4 layers of fabric.
And even on the collar, I mean, you sew 5/8, and then if you need to chalk it for a straight line, and then trim close here.
Right. Yeah, a see-through grid ruler is what you have to have. Well, that project led to this project, which is essentially the same technique, just a different fabrication. A lightweight viscose jersey with a viscose stripe, and you've broken up the front. Instead of just a solid front like this, you've broken up the front so that you can insert a pocket, and it gives it a great detail. And that stripe coming out of this seam is really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah, that's really, this one really shows up with the colors peeking
And
out.
you added a back seam as well and lengthened it. We've long forgotten how much, 10 inches or something like that.
I mean, it's really cute with that stripe. Now, this is a tutorial?
This is a tutorial called Double Layer Knit Coat, which will be on sale this week.
And little raw edge pocket flap.
Yep. Yeah, nice weight of coat.
Oh, they do. They always feel just
Yeah,
like
I mean,
they're
just
hugging
enough
you.
to, maybe this is going to London.
I was going to say.
Yeah, oh, gosh, I'm going to have a lot of coats in London, whatever. All right, I have to check the weather. I'm not sure what's happening with weather. All right, so then we're reaching back into the archives a little bit here. This is one made by Karen Turnout a few years ago, but I've always loved it because she used an iridescent linen. I've lost the terminology for the type of linen that this is.
It's not glazed.
No, it's two different colors of threads. Come on, help me.
Cross-weave, cross-dyed.
Cross-dyed.
Takes 3 heads now to
Yeah,
get a
really.
word.
So it does have an iridescent feel to it. And then she's used a twin needle, a pin tuck foot, and 2 needles to do these tucks. And she's used some metallic thread, and then in the back she's flared this a little bit so that it's not as boxy, has a little different shape to it, and then done this sun ray sort of affair on the back and the pin tucking.
I'm sure she did that before she cut out that back piece, maybe?
I would think so.
I would.
Yeah.
And
I
again,
agree.
the tube collar, this is lying really flat, so, but it is the traditional collar in the pattern.
Yeah, and then she made a little tank to go into it. So I like the way the sleeves have been done asymmetrically. So here's the pin tucking on the right sleeve, and here's the pin tucking on the left sleeve, and they're not the same. I think that's pretty cool. All right, then this is the one, the ensemble that I made for Threads magazine some time ago. And this is 2 Now shirts. So this undershirt is the Now shirt, 2 inches longer in a silk charmeuse print, made in the traditional way. It's only been lengthened. That's the only thing that's different about it. And then the jacket is a Now pattern without the collar and the original short length. And it's been, I call it kind of a hybrid technique on the lining. It's a lining technique in terms of making a second shirt, but then it's installed so that it goes under the hems, and that's an underlining technique. So you have 2 techniques going on here. And the only thing I had to make were these facings to match the width of the hem, and I should have mitered that now that I look at that.
Oh, that looks
But I don't
pretty.
think I was thinking at the time. But anyway, there's an article about this in Threads, and but they don't show this together, which I always thought was interesting. They separate them, but anyway. But you know that if you're wanting to make a jacket to go over a blouse, you know the necklines will marry together because they're the same pattern. So you don't have to figure that out. Then I've forgotten the inspiration for this one.
We were doing it for a show.
Yes, I guess a fashion show someplace.
I remember getting all the things out of the stash and they were lying on the floor. We had the whole floor covered with pieces, and then we chose the ones that stood out.
Yeah, we have jackets in our archives in all of these fabrics.
And these are real, like this is a real Chanel.
Right.
I'm sure that's the only one
Yeah, this might be, I'm not sure. I don't remember. This, I have an 8th Avenue skirt out of this, and then I somewhere had picked up this little furry leopard thing for the front band and the collar.
Yeah.
This is a piece of leather and velvet combo, really interesting fabric.
And again, the collar is just left open, so it's just a big fold-in collar.
And then the whole thing is lined in Bemberg rayon. So it really slips on nicely, feels great. I love this coat, actually. Maybe this is going to London. Okay.
That might be too hot for London.
That might be too hot, and even too wild for... All right, so Erin made this, and because we always get the question on Facebook Live, can you make something into a dress? Well, the Now shirt makes the perfect dress. It could just be lengthened and worn as a shift-like dress, or you could do what Erin did and add a casing. In this case, she added the strip on the outside of the garment and sewed a center casing in that and made a tie and shortened the sleeve and then added a tab. I can bring it closer. This is in lightweight silk. But this is truly from the archives. But I love it.
You know, I've always wanted to make a little casing in the collar here.
Oh, yeah, and draw that up.
And then put a little drawstring coming out of that, too.
That's a great idea. Yeah. So, yes, it can be made into a dress quite easily. All right, so we have fabrics. And primarily the denim from the denim jacket that Kathy made. And then we have all of these laundered linens. And as I think I said before, you know, it used to be that we could only get linen in kind of crisp, solid, hard linen. And then this whole laundered thing came in. I think it was when flax and some of those brands appeared on the market, and you know, it was hard for us to find those kinds of fabrics, and even you never knew what was going to happen to linen when you washed it. It could sometimes soften and sometimes it didn't. But these are already pre-softened and they have the right look. They're already rumpled. They're already ready to go.
A slight little texture to them.
Yeah,
Thread texture.
It's
I
like
think it's
it's like a silk noil texture, but washed and subdued in the whatever sheen there would have been originally. There's no sizing and there's no finish on these. These are raw linens that are ready to go in some really fabulous fall colors, from this soft gray orchid color to, what do we call this color? Peach, to petrol. Interesting.
I like that color.
Yeah, this is a blue, gray, blue.
A little green.
Little green in it. Yeah, this is Erin's color, of course, called Current. This is my color, Kathy's color, called Pear Green. This one's called Teal, but you can see how drapey this is. It could be blouse weight, jacket weight. You know what?
I would do pants.
Well, I would do pants too, but this could be your pieced jacket.
Oh, wouldn't that be beautiful?
Yeah, that's a cool idea. All right, we have black, but yes, fantastic pants. Fantastic pants. This, I don't know the color names now. You can read the color names on the other side.
I can do that.
You don't have your glasses.
Avocado.
Avocado.
This is a great color. Ocean.
All right.
Charcoal. The blue is denim. And toffee.
More like latte.
Pumpkin spice.
There you go. All right, so all the same fabrics. We have this on special this week at 50% off. That's 50. And the rest of these are at 15% off. We have the double layer knit coat tutorial on sale and the 3 bias bindings tutorial, which talks about how to do the bindings on the jackets that you've done, plus 2 others that we're not talking about today. So, do we have any questions?
I don't see any questions.
No questions. Really? Do we have anyone watching?
Yes, we do. But it makes me wonder. I saw like 2 comments in general, but that was
all right.
It.
Okay.
Somebody just said they love when Kathy's on.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, I do too. It takes the pressure off of me. Well, I think that one of the things we might work on down the road is we might offer up this pocket template on a blog.
Right.
Since it's such a great pocket. And we could even include the pocket from this jacket as a template and just have a couple of Now Jacket shirt pocket templates. So we might work on that. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but it'd be a great little blog thing that you could download. Okay.
Still no questions.
Okay.
So everybody's just mesmerized by all the design.
Yeah.
They might be snoozing.
Well, we didn't talk about very much technical today, but we had hopefully a lot of inspirational ideas. I think what I get from Kathy that I don't get from just anyone is this vast resource of inspiration, and you get that from magazines, blogs, Instagram,
right,
brands that you like, stores that you like, that you follow, eBay, your
Pinterest. I don't do Instagram, but I do Pinterest.
Yeah, and she's willing to buy something on eBay that maybe doesn't fit, it might be old, doesn't really care all that much whether it fits you or not, but you know that it has things about it that are going to be interesting in terms of details. And
that's true.
I think that's something that the Sewing Workshop has been known for a long time is, some good and interesting details. I mean, you can find patterns out there from other companies that, nice and basic and good, but it's always those fun elements. If you're like me, you've made your share of regular blouses and jackets and pants and whatever, and it's fun to dig into a project that has something unique about it. This pocket, where it went, that pocket, for example, that just doesn't come around just any day. So those are what make, I think, sewing fun at some point when you have enough clothes, you've sewn enough clothes.
That's the truth.
It's not like we need clothes at this point in our lives, but we want to have some real fun sewing, and that's, I think, what I get from Kathy, and so I appreciate that. It's always fun.
I think that's a fun place to get in sewing, where you don't need it. It's fun to play around with it. If it doesn't work, I don't have to bring it in and show it to anyone.
Right, yeah.
So that's really what...
And you don't necessarily sit down and complete a project in one afternoon.
Oh no, I'm slow with sewing.
Well, but you're willing to do things more than once. You're willing to rip, you're willing to...
Oh boy, I do. Don't you rip more at the older you get, the more you rip?
Yeah, I rip all the time.
I almost sew a garment twice anymore.
Yeah, but I think that we all, I'm not sewing anymore for the coming weekend, for example. Right. I mean, I tease about the idea that I might make something to wear to London, but the truth is I probably won't, because I have a lot of great clothes. But while I'm in London, I am absolutely going to be taking photographs of great details, go into Liberty of London and look at some of these new emerging designers and look at the details of the clothes and absorb the colors that are happening and the fabrics. Things have really changed in the fabric world, and we're getting our hands on more unique fabrics than we used to, and I think that's pretty interesting.
I do want to mention something before we leave. On Facebook yesterday, there was the most fabulous quilted Now jacket.
Yes.
That was made with Liberty of London scraps by, I'm sorry, I don't remember her name, but it was absolutely fantastic.
You know what's interesting about that? My husband, who, basically loves the fact that I sew, and every once in a while he'll pull something out of an Orvis catalog or an LL Bean catalog and say, you need to make a jacket like this. Well, I'm not interested in the hunting jacket necessarily, but somewhere, like over the weekend, he tore a picture out of a catalog that was of a quilted jacket, a short quilted jacket. And when I saw that picture on Instagram, which Betsy must have posted before she left, I said, oh, well, Craig must have posted that picture on our website. Now, he's not capable of doing that, I don't really think. And then I got to looking at it and thought, oh my gosh, she made that, and that is exactly what he had seen in a magazine that said to me, you should make this, Linda, this quilted jacket.
Well, those quilted garments are kind of becoming in vogue now.
Exactly.
I mean, take an old, or just she made her own quilt pattern, and it was beautiful.
It was fantastic.
But I had to laugh because last night it was the Now Jacket.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, we're doing that tomorrow.
Yeah, it would have been. I don't know what pattern she used. I can't remember.
And I'm sorry.
Now, and it's Teresa is her name.
Teresa.
Oh, it was the Now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, well, you must check that out.
It is. Did you not see it?
I did see it, yeah.
Oh.
I did see it, but I didn't, for some reason, it didn't stay with me what the pattern was and all of that.
It was the Now Jacket. I
through.
just thought that was fantastic.
Yeah. So we love it when you send us things that we can post, either on your body or on a hanger or in a beautiful setting or whatever. So that was a good example. So thank you, Teresa, for sending that to us. That's a real inspiration.
So will it be on your website? It would be.
Well, we'll put that.
Can look.
We can put that image in the Now Gallery category.
Yeah, that's
So,
it was
on Facebook and Instagram right now.
okay. It's worth looking up. It was really cool.
Yeah.
I do see a few questions. Some people are saying that comments aren't being posted, or so I'm sorry. Let's see, but they do want to know. What patterns are you wearing, and including your pants? So.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say that. So obviously I have on the Now shirt. This is a purchase T-shirt from years ago, and I have on the West End pants. My fullest pants with the pocket, elastic waist, in a polyester print. And you have on the Mimosa
pants. We never see them get out of the closet, but I love them. Mimosa pant.
Yeah.
It has zipper, no elastic, and a waist facing.
Right.
There is some interest in the pocket template, so
Okay.
that's good to hear. And then also interested in the purple now, the tutorial on doing that. So.
Karen Turnow was kind enough to send me the how she did this. I held on to it for years. I've since lost it, but I think we could replay this. And I could figure it out.
Is the fabric Kathy is wearing the same as on the wall?
It is a different colorway. It's kind of in between these two. It's slightly different than this in colorway, but it's awfully close. This is a little brighter.
Right.
They're from a different bolts, but essentially it's the same fabric.
Reboot. So let's see if I can see a few comments. How are the seams finished on the Denim Now?
Serged.
Yeah, our pretty standard seam finish, sewn, and then the edges serged together, 3-thread, and the seam is pressed one direction towards the back.
But the hems, all the hems are turned twice. There's not serging
Right.
showing.
They're not full double, but there's an 5/8 inch or a ½ inch that's turned back on the edges.
You could use you could serge the whole thing.
Yeah, you could.
I just didn't.
Or use the selvage.
Yeah.
Any updates on So Kansas 2023?
No, we have no updates on So Kansas 2023. I'm really trying to decide what to do about So Kansas. We have so many other events planned. I'm trying to fit things in, so we just don't have anything at this point. I'm so sorry.
If there are other comments, I don't see them.
All right.
So I apologize.
Well, yeah, maybe there's a technical glitch about comments today. If things show up later and there's something that we need to post, we'll try to get that answered in some way. So I thank you for tuning in and hanging in there with us. There's always something. It's either lighting, sound, or comments, or whatever. I don't know. Thank you, Facebook Live.
Could you go over all the sales?
The sales are this denim, 50% off. All the linens, 15% off. The two colors of the cotton quilt, 15% off. The Now and Zen pattern is on sale. That's a printed pattern. It is not available in digital form. And the two tutorials are double layer knit coat and the 3 bias bindings. All right. Okay. Well, we'll see you next week. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kathy, for joining me.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Good to be
it.
here.
All right. Have a great week.
Thank you.